Romans 14 verse 5. The Sabbath is any day you want it to be. Romans 14 verse 5. One person esteems one day as better than another, while another esteems all days alike. Can the Sabbath be on any day of the week? Let's take a look. So you start talking to a Sunday Christian, and they find out that you keep the Sabbath on the seventh day of the week, which we call Saturday. But the Sunday Christian tells you that one can keep the Sabbath any day of the week, according to Romans 14 verse 5. One person esteems Sunday as better than Saturday to rest. So are they right? What is Romans 14 verse 5 in reference to? We must read the 4 or 5 verses before and after this one isolated text to get the context, because context is key. The context of Romans 14 are two things. One, it's about what days of the week are meant to be days of fasting in the assembly of Rome. And two, whether or not one should eat meat sold in the marketplace, for some of the meats were used as sacrifices to idols before sold in the marketplace. Brother Judah, that is, the Jews who accepted Yeshua as Messiah, are telling the Gentile converts in the assembly of Rome that they need to keep the Jewish traditions of what days to fast. Yet the Gentile believers disagree with the Jewish brothers and say that they prefer fasting on different days contrary to the Jewish tradition. So the headbutting began. And also, some believers were convicted of going vegetarian, for they saw that some of the meat was traced back to idol sacrifices before being sold. So they wanted all others to abstain from meat in the marketplace. And again, another debate and division broke off in the assembly of Rome. So Paul addresses this in the letter to the Romans. He responds to the divided assembly of Rome, saying, if you want to keep your Jewish tradition to fast on one specific day, then do that. But if your non-Jewish brother in Yeshua wants to fast on a different day, then don't condemn him. Let each person choose which day to fast according to their own convictions. And also, if you feel convicted about eating the meats that might be traced back to pagan idol worship, then feel free to be vegetarian. But don't judge those who keep eating the meats that are possibly traced back to idol sacrifices in the pagan temples. For there is nothing wrong with the meat itself, and the false idol will not affect you. So, knowing this context, let's read Romans 14. Receive one who is weak in the faith, but not to dispute over doubtful things. For one believes he may eat all things, but he who is weak eats only vegetables. Let not him who eats despise him who does not eat, and let not him who does not eat judge him who eats, for Elohim has received him. One person, the Jew, esteems one day of fasting above another. Another, a non-Jew, esteems every day alike. Let each be fully convinced in his own mind. He who observes the day of fasting observes it to the master, and he who does not observe the day to fast, to the master he does not observe it. He who eats meat eats it to the master, for he gives Elohim thanks. And he who does not eat meat to the master, he does not eat, and gives Elohim thanks. Jumping down to verse 13. Therefore let us not judge one another any more, but rather resolve this, not to put a stumbling block or a cause to fall in our brother's way. So as you see, this chapter has nothing to do with Sabbath days and what days to rest. It's all about the days of fasting and eating meats that might be traced back to pagan worship. Context, context, context. And misusing an isolated text, like Romans 14 verse 5, is known as proof texting or eisegesis. Misusing scripture as a form of dishonesty, which we don't want to do. The Sabbath has always stayed on day 7 and is said to be day 7 for eternity. Praise Yah. Genesis 2 verse 3. Then Yahweh Elohim blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. Genesis 31 verse 16. Therefore the people of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, observing the Sabbath throughout their generations as a covenant forever. Please like and subscribe. Thank you, and shalom.